So, Shannon, what did last night tell you?
It told me that they can play defense when they want to, Skip. You look at the third quarter, they're down by 13. And I'm like, this is embarrassing. If this is the Golden State Warriors, Skip, this is the Phoenix Suns, and you're without your best player, Skip, I can get it. I can get that. This is Sacramento. They had just lost by 30, Sunday night, Saturday night? They had just lost by 30. And here it is, you coming out here and y'all playing like this, and then all of a sudden, something clicked. It's like, we're better than this. They started playing defense, and the next thing you know, Russ and AD took over started taking over the third quarter. Malik Monk, Skip, he needs to get 25, 30 minutes a night. Because he can create his own shot, he can get to the basket, and he can knock down the three. Wayne Ellington came in, gave us valuable minutes, knocking down the three. Dwight Howard somehow, Skip, if you're going to go with a big lineup, he needs to be in the big lineup with AD. I'm sorry, DJ, they've given you an opportunity. He's just not as active as Dwight, Skip. And you saw Dwight's presence in the third. When they started playing defense, he started challenging everything at the rim. AD started challenging shots at the rim. And all of a sudden, they're getting easy buckets. I felt very good. They blocked the shot, get out on a fast break, and Wayne Ellington pulls up from 27 and splashes nothing with that. That's how I'm thinking about you. I was like, okay, we got this one now. You shaking your head, that's what I'm shaking my head. I'm saying we got this against the Kings. Skip, what did they recognize, Skip? 8-14. I said, yeah, we got this against the Kings.
They just recently fired their coach. Go ahead.
Yeah, they got a lot going on. They got a lot going on. They got a lot going on. But, Skip, I got to take what I can get right now. Yeah. We haven't played up to expectation. As you mentioned, we had the easiest schedule through the first 20, 25 ball games. Yep. And 3/4 of those games were at home, and they lost. You lost to the Kings. You lost twice to OKC. So in a situation like that, Skip, you're happy to get a win. And you take it any kind of way you can. But AD is absolutely right. This is you and Russ, AD and Russ, needs to say, you know what, even though LeBron isn't here, we're good enough, us two, with Malik Monk and some of these other guys, Carmelo chipping in, to win some of these games. Skip, you just can't, well, LeBron ain't here, okay, let's just throw up the towel and just throw in the towel and just hope till he gets back. I love what I saw last night, even though it was against Sacramento. Yeah. But maybe this is something, a sign of, a positive sign. But Skip, I need them to string together. This is the second win. I'm going to need them to string together 5, 6, 7. I'm not saying go Phoenix on them. Yep. That would be nice. But if you can get 5, 6 of these together, maybe that's something to build on, Skip. Okay. But what I saw in the third quarter, from the time they were down 13 to the close out the ball game, you can win with that. That'll travel. That'll win you some games.
I got it. So before I launch on everything you just said, I'm going to step over here for just a moment and make a quick comment in all seriousness on your man, LeBron James. Yeah. When I saw the headline that he had COVID, right, it rocked me. Right. From my heart. It rocked me because LeBron got COVID? Of all the superstars out there, the Iron Man, impervious to injury, or I know he's starting to have little knickknacks, but he's been an Iron Man for 19 NBA seasons. And it just shook me that we're almost 2 years into this pandemic, this COVID period on this earth of ours. Right. And LeBron got it. My Cowboys are already rocked. Right. They are leading the NFL in COVID.
But you know what, Skip? If you really think about it, it shouldn't be as surprising because what just happened? We just had a big holiday. You invited people.
I got it.
Who might not go through the same protocols as you go through.
I put LeBron on a pedestal a little above the other humans.
Yeah,
you know,
but
like
COVID don't know who LeBron is.
COVID doesn't care who LeBron is, and they did just come off a road trip, but it could just be the holiday. Right. It's out there, it's everywhere, and we are still under mask mandate here in L.A., and that's what shook me more. If LeBron actually got COVID while he was in the L.A. area back home, then it's like it's still here. We still have a mask mandate, obviously, in the hallways here at Fox, wherever we go, and it just got me. Right. But now back to the action. What really got me from a basketball perspective was I'm watching the game, ho-hum, and I'm trying to watch the Steph game on my other TV, and it's starting to heat up at Phoenix. And I look up with 9:59 left in the third quarter, and Rashawn Holmes has a little putback because he's just having his way.
Right.
He made 12 of 13 shots last night, and this happened.
Yeah.
And he has a putback that makes the score 66-52. That's a 14-point lead. Mm-hmm. And it had just sort of teetered around 14 the whole night, where it looked like the Kings were in total control. Mm-hmm. Last seen at Staples Center last Friday night, the Kings were doing numbers on the Kings team.
Right.
And it went 3 overtimes, and it was a crazy, wild shootout. And in the end, they won by, 4 points. They won in the 3 overtimes by 4 points.
141-137.
Okay.
Yep.
So way to go, Kings. And so we talked about, is this a revenge game? LeBron sort of suggested we're going to go get even with them.
He said we'll get our get back.
We'll get our get back game. Okay, so we got that. But then there's no LeBron, and I'm saying no LeBron, no hope, no chance.
Right.
And then this happened. Your team went on a run of 65-26. It is hard in the National Basketball Association to go 65-26.
They went 40-8 at one point.
And would you believe the Sacramento Kings, featuring De'Aaron Fox, who I have high regard for, Buddy Hield, who you wanted to be a Laker?
Yep.
Would you believe that team missed 17 of its next 18 shots? That's hard to do.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe you and I could go out there and make one somewhere, right?
18, I would like to think so.
Just somewhere. And it was the most shocking spurt I've seen the whole NBA season. And I am a addicted nut. I watch it every night. I got 5 TVs going. And I haven't seen anything quite as shocking as what the Lakers did to the Kings under the circumstance without the King.
Because you had seen no indication for the entire season that the Lakers had this in them.
Their biggest win so far came at home over Cleveland.
Right.
And it was by 13 with LeBron.
Right.
And you won by 25 coming from 14 down in the third quarter. Mm-hmm. That is impossibly great. And what happened to me in the third quarter was that all of a sudden, guess who showed up? Would you believe that Anthony Davis actually looked like Anthony Davis?
He did. He was a monster.
Is he not a top 10 player in this league?
Yeah.
Would some people not have him as a top 5 player? Is he not on his way to being a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer? Mm-hmm. Is Russell Westbrook not on his way to being a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer? Mm-hmm. So those 2 players should be the best players on this floor last night at Sacramento, right?
Yep.
And they were in the third quarter because they were the difference on the scoreboard. They were the ones who, Anthony made 5 of 7 and Russ made 4 of 8 shots, and they carried the scoring load.
Yeah. Malik Monk with 3 or 4 from the 3.
And if he's going to make 6 for the game, you got a chance.
Yes.
But the key difference to me was, and I've said this since he has been with the Lakers, left the Lakers, and then came back to the Lakers, it's all about Dwight Howard. Mm-hmm. Another, you believe, slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer just because he's been Defensive Player of the Year, 3 times?
Yep.
Okay, so he did a stand-up interview. I don't know that you had your sound up by this point on Sports Spectrum LA, which is the Southern California Lakers network, right after the game. And he readily admitted that Coach Vogel told me before the game I was not going to play. And he said, well, I just thought, okay, I got to stay ready anyway.
Right.
And it got so desperate that Vogel had to scrap whatever plan he had before the game and insert Dwight Howard. Yeah. And I thought Dwight Howard changed the game.
He did.
Because he can still dominate on the defensive end, and he still wreaks havoc wherever he goes because bodies are flying everywhere, right?
Yeah.
He just causes problems on both ends of the floor because he's still so powerful. He's got the great shoulders, and it's like he put the team on his broad shoulders, and here they went because he's a force. And I don't know why they still start DeAndre Jordan. I don't get it because he was discarded by the Nets for a reason, and he's very close. He's best friends with KD and Kyrie and that whole group, and James. They're very close. And the Nets just said, no, we don't need him. We don't want him.
Speaking of Dwight, Skip, it's not an accident that the Lakers finally won the rebounding battle.
They did. Well, look at the numbers he threw in.
He had 5 offensive. He had 13 rebounds in the mouth. Because, Skip, they started DJ. And then early on in the game, you can see, that ain't it. He played almost the second half.
He did.
Dwight Howard played almost the second half. He played 32 minutes. When was the last time Dwight Howard played that many minutes, Skip?
Yeah, and he throws in a couple blocks and 13 rebounds. That's how you win basketball games. And what did I tell you yesterday? The biggest difference in this team was it was #1 in defensive efficiency rating last year, and it has plummeted to 16th. Well, from that moment in the third quarter through the fourth quarter, the 65 to 26 run, they played the best defense I've seen all year because they got interested.
They did.
They got urgent. They got desperate. They got prideful. I actually saw purple and gold pride on display where, to me, they finally just said, okay, we don't have LeBron, so what? Are we chopped liver? They're not chopped liver, and we've been saying this all year. Where is your pride, AD? Russ has pride because he plays hard, but does he have winning pride, or is it just stat pride? Well, last night it looked like he had winning pride because he locked down on defense. And all of them got into somebody on defense. And I looked, I stepped back from it and I said, that's it. That'll work. Again, albeit against the 8-14 Sacramento Kings.
Well, Skip, you remember on Friday, De'Aaron Fox got like 30 shot attempts. He had 4 last night. Buddy Hield had like 18 shot attempts. Look what he had last night. We had 7 shot attempts. So that's telling me you're contesting things. You're not just, you know what, okay, I can't get there. You make that extra effort to Skip. They were switching and rotating, and somebody get beat at the dribble, here come AD to erase it. Here come Dwight Howard to erase it. They can do that. But they were just like, man, we're just going to outscore you tonight. We're going to rest on one end, then we're going to get it going on the other end, and then you have these long periods. They still have a period, Skip, where they go 3 minutes and they don't score. Well, if you don't play defense and you go 3 minutes without putting the basketball in the hoop, guess what happens? A 2-point lead, all of a sudden it's a 16-point lead, and you got Frankie V calling the timeout.
I agree.
But they played well defensively. Offensively, it's kept with that weapons they got, they can score. But you better be able to lock somebody else down.
They have played heartless defense this year.
They have.
So my 2 favorite quotes last night came from this game, after the game, from the 2 head coaches. And I'm going to start with my man Alvin Gentry. I've known him forever, and he's a good man and a good basketball coach. And I think he got a raw deal in New Orleans. That's just me. But he's now the interim coach, obviously, in place of Luke Walton in Sacramento. And he said after the game, I want to apologize to every Kings fan out there because you do not deserve this. The second half was a disaster, and it was an embarrassment. Well, we second that emotion because it was embarrassing. But I will also point out that Laker Nation is now so fervent. It is now following this team on the road like crazy. And once again, it took over another rival arena last night because I'm just listening to my TV. And when if I walk away to use the bathroom or whatever and I'm hearing the roar, I'm like, who scored? Because I'm not sure. Because the Lakers were getting louder roars for scoring than the home team.
And then, Skip, as the game started to get out of hand and they started panning, you like, hold on, is this Staples? You see all these purple and gold, all the people in purple and gold sitting close. That's got to be really frustrating.
Okay, now to my favorite quote of the night came from your man, Frankie V, Frank Vogel. After the game, Frank Vogel had the audacity to say, every now and then, a coach has to light a fire under his team. Today was one of those games. We weren't giving the necessary effort to transition defense and with our pick and roll coverages. Sometimes you have to let them hear about it. Frankie V, after the game, was patting himself on the back for his halftime speech that relit the Lakers' fire. Because I believe that Frankie V, I don't know if he's watching us yesterday, but I think he knows he is on the hot seat. Of course. That if this continues to teeter along at 500, somebody's going to have to pay a price, and he is in harm's way. He is
David
the easiest. Right?
Remember what happened with David Blatt?
It's always easiest if you're going to try to just shake it up. Well, you can't send LeBron home. You can't trade Russ. You could if you tried, but they're not going to do that.
AD's not going anywhere.
No, they're not going anywhere. But Frankie V could go somewhere because nobody would really care because I don't think he's become exactly beloved in Laker Nation. And every night when they start to teeter in a game, I look at Twitter, what's trending, and it's always Frankie V, something
his
about
rotation,
Vogel,
he's
right?
terrible. You get him out of
Everybody's all over him.
Exactly.
So he is now taking credit for this victory last night because he lit the halftime fire with his speech. Hell, fire, and damnation. He spat at his team at halftime.
You should have lit a fire because it was you that set the lineups. You the one that's putting situations out there, and they're terrible in the pick and roll. They are. They're terrible in the pick and roll defense. They're terrible in the pick and pop. But what we see with Dwight Howard, he's getting his hands all up. He's like, I'm trying to take away the bounce pass because when you try to bounce it to the guy that's rolling to the basket, I'm just trying to get some deflections. They got some deflections last night. He just brought a different type of energy to the game. And I think AD saw how Dwight was playing, and all of a sudden AD went the extra effort. I saw Russ go the extra effort. Malik Monk, we saw guys, Skip and Horton Tucker hadn't been playing well. They're like, well, we can't give you these minutes, bro. We can't give you 28 minutes when you're giving us this kind of production. Okay, Austin Reeves, get in there. Okay, Ellington, get in there. Malik Monk has been in the starting lineup. Even when LeBron got back, Skip, the closing lineup, Malik Monk's been on the court.
Yes.
And it seems to me this is how it's going to be. Now, I know he was nicked at the start of the season, but unless he was nicked, it made no sense for me that he wouldn't be in the starting lineup over Kent Bazemore.
Okay.
But if you look at what they did last night, Skip, I don't want to make too much of it because that were the Kings. This should be, Skip, this shouldn't, as a matter of fact, we shouldn't even be talking about this. It should be beneath our dignity that the Lakers are pleased, and we're talking about it, they beat the Kings. The Kings aren't going to. Skip,
well, it has come to this.
That's what I'm saying.
Because your Lakers are now 12-11. They just went one game over 500 against the Kings.
Right.
Okay, but I did think it was significant because of this. I'm sure your man LeBron was watching.
Yes.
I hope he was taking to heart what was not happening on the floor. I've told you before, the key to this season is that he's shooting too many three-point shots. I told you yesterday he was coming off a three-game stretch in which he had attempted the most threes of any three-game stretch in his entire career.
Right.
34 in the last three games, including the middle game, which was 2 of 13 against the Kings in the triple overtime. 2 of 13, obviously, is just killer because there's something about this three-point shot that has changed basketball for better and for worse.
For good and for
because
bad.
you can live or you can die with the three. If you are hitting your threes, especially on the road at Indiana, see overtime, you will take a crowd out of, you will shoot them in the heart and in the lungs. You'll puncture their lungs.
Yes.
But if you start missing threes, you will take the heart out of your team so fast because it's just wasted possession, and he'll take them too early in the clock. I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to shoot it. So what was the key problem against Sacramento in the triple overtime loss was he was 2 of 13 from three.
Right.
Okay?
That's not good enough.
Okay, we're going to talk about Steph had a terrible shooting night last night, but he doesn't have them like this. Like LeBron is a below average three-point shooter.
Right.
So what was the big difference last night at Sacramento was, well, they didn't do that. They hit 11 of 28, which is 39.3%, which will work. It's good enough. But they didn't shoot the Kings out of the gym last night. It was not a three-point salvo that beat them. That's not what happened. It was just everybody playing hard on defense and chipping in on offense. Because you can't point to one offensive stat and say, there's the difference. They all did it.
Well, what they did, Skip, is that they kept the King. They shot left 44% from the floor. They shot 20% from the three-point line, as opposed to what they shot what they shot Friday.
They got whatever they wanted.
Whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted it.
Hey, listen, De'Aaron Fox said, I got this.
Right.
I'll just lefty dribble. I'll just get right in the lane, and then I'll just get to the rim.
Exactly.
Buddy Hield said, you're going to let me shoot this? Oh, I got this.
Right.
So what did Buddy Hield do last night?
1 for 7.
Nothing.
1 for 6 from 3.
Okay. Somebody got a hand in his face.
Right.
Okay. Way to go. So the blueprint was that there was no LeBron, and I think it got desperate. We're finally the soon-to-be Hall of Famers, the eventual Hall of Famers. I think they all said, okay, this is enough of this.
Because, Skip, we've seen teams play. We see the Warriors play without Steph Curry, and they still win.
Yep.
Because there's a pride factor in there. We've seen teams play without their best player.
Agreed.
And even if they don't win, Skip, it's a very competitive game. What we haven't seen nearly enough, even with Russ and AD on the court, the Lakers be competitive enough when LeBron is not there. That's unacceptable. I think finally they got enough pride in themselves last night that says, look, we're better than this. I'm not saying we're supposed to beat the war. It's not like we got to beat the Warriors and the Suns and Milwaukee and all these teams back to back to back.
Yep.
But there are some of these teams that we're better than.
Okay.
Even without LeBron.
All right.
And
So
no turnover. They had 4. They had 10 at half.
They did.
They had 4 in the second half.
That'll work because Russ was quiet. I didn't even remember.
Skip, I can live with 4. You can live with 4.
Yep.
You just can't live with 8, 9, and 10.
I agree. So now let's see if they can keep it going because LeBron's, I don't know how long he's going to be gone, a couple of games.
Was it 10 days?
I don't know. He has to pass two tests. He's
right.
vaccinated.
Right.
That's what he said in the opening media session, right?
Yes.
So we trust he's vaccinated.
Right.
So he's going to have to pass 2 tests in 24 hours. So I don't know. He's going to at least miss the next game, I assume. Next game is, guess who? The Clippers, who are number 2 in defensive efficiency to Golden State at number 1. So it's no cakewalk.
I can't tell they're number 2 lately.
Okay. Well,
you see what they've been putting out there lately.
They haven't been able to score, but they can defend. So they will equal your defensive pride in this game. Then the Celtics visit, and then they got to go to Memphis and go to Oklahoma City. So we'll start to see if they're legit.
We need to go. They need to go on a hot streak. They need these next 4 games. They need to be all in the left column, the win column. Then he'll be in trouble because when the King come back, and he will return.
Well, he's missed 12 out of their 23 games, so he's been gone all too often.
But as long as we get like 55, 58 games, we be straight.
Okay, well, let's just get healthy first, thinking about LeBron in that sense. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.